I think the world is in a phase where everybody's just running madly in a race. We just want to be there and just be a part of the trend. We don't even know what's happening.
You have to a lot before you get to top 10 tennis players, before you become a CEO. There are a lot of mistakes that you have to make. Frankly speaking, it's the relationship that I had with my ex-husband. So I moved here because of him. Then in UAE, I co-founded a tennis academy. I'd say that in my view, preparation is undervalued. And that could be as simple as preparing meeting notes for your upcoming engagement, talking points for your presentation, your speech. And I think with business, it's never like that fast.
Hello and welcome to Century Conversations. I'm thrilled to have with us today someone whose journey beautifully illustrates how communication isn't just a skill, but a strategic advantage. Meet Laila Baymaganbetova, founder of Cluster Language and Communication Hub. A linguist by training and a coach by passion, Laila has transformed boardrooms and classrooms across Russia, US, and now Dubai. In under a year, Cluster has trained hundreds of professionals and built partnerships with PwC Academy and DMCC, proving that powerful connections can truly shift outcome. First of all, thank you so much for coming in here, and especially coming on a Saturday, because this is something, and I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs, they have a very good habit. They utilize their Saturdays for doing something more to their work and contribute to their work. And I know that Saturday must be more busier, so you're here, that means a lot. Before we were recording this, we had a conversation about that, how sometimes younger they are, easier it becomes to grasp different languages. And these days, of course, a lot of parents understand that how important it is to know a foreign language. So like in your case, for example, English is something which you feel is important. In our case also, while we are in Indian households, it becomes sort of benchmark that, my child should know how to speak English. It has become some sort of universal language. You agree with that?
Well, thanks a lot for having me. And I think English, for sure, it's a lingua franca. I'd say the only difference is Russia is quite homogeneous in terms of language use.
Yes.
So English is not really essential. And even me, I started learning English quite late.
Yes.
By most standards. It was 14 when I took my very first English class. There wasn't any specific reason why that happened, but it was mostly curiosity that I just followed it. I liked to listen to music that was produced in the States, and of course lyrics were in English. I used to listen to James Brown, Ray Charles, Michael Jackson, and I wanted to understand what they were singing about. The real impact I saw of learning a foreign language was when I got accepted into a university in the States.
Wow.
And that's when I realized that something simple like learning a language could actually open up doors for you.
Different doors for you.
Yeah.
And so that's very interesting. You started learning at the age of 14.
Yes.
Sometimes we have seen a lot of researchers saying that the appropriate age till where you can learn different languages at your best is the age of 12. You starting at 14, and obviously I'm assuming that people around you, since what you're saying that in Russia, people are very same. Like in Germany, people are okay speaking German. In France, it's French. In Russia, it's Russian. So did you have people around you who would talk to you in English? Because I'm sure it would not have been easy, and it would require a lot of discipline and a lot of hard work for you to learn to this point where you could get accepted in a university and things become easier for you. How was it while doing this at the age of 14 and starting? And did you really think that this is going to be so big that it will become your career? It is going to be becoming the main business which you're going to do?
No, like I said, I never took it that way until I was already in the States. And one of the reasons I started learning quite late is because there was no much use for it. And even when I was learning, I think I was quite lucky. Of course, I was intrinsically motivated to learn the language, but also I had very good tutors around me.
Oh, very nice.
I don't think so. This cap of your ability to learn a language, like it stops at the age of 12. I think our brains are quite plastic in a way. There's a lot of neuroplasticity, and I think we can learn at any age.
We can learn at any age?
Yeah.
If I want to learn Russian right now, I can be proficient?
You'd probably have some hard time learning it, but I'm sure
I can do it.
You'll do fine.
Okay. But talking of that, so when you got accepted to the university in States, you went there and you stayed in US. That would have much opened up the exposure for you in the language. Mm-hmm. So you lived in Russia, you lived in US, and now you're here in Dubai. I want to know, I'm sure that the cultures are different everywhere and they must have taught you something. Which place shaped you the most and which place challenged you the most?
Interesting question. I'd say that every place I'd go to was teaching me more about myself rather than learning about the place itself. I think definitely growing up, being born and raised in Russia, I spent my definitive years there. I think that set quite a foundation for me.
Very nice.
But then also going to the US and being able to, analyze the foundation that I've built for myself, I think that was an important shift. But I'd say that Dubai is probably the place which shaped me the most. This is where I started my first business.
Yes.
And this is where I want to continue growing.
So this is just extending this. You came here and you must have realized that there are so many people from so many countries and the need to establish a center for languages. This should be the right place to do it. Did you think in US also that when you will come to Dubai, this is something which you're going to do? Was this a sort of a plan or just happened to come across as an idea and you just build up on it?
When I was in the US, I never thought I'd come to UAE.
Okay. You never thought you were going to come here?
Yeah, I never thought.
What made you come here?
Frankly speaking, it's the relationship that I had with my ex-husband.
Okay.
So I moved here because of him.
Okay.
But I also never thought that I would establish business related to languages. And yes, we do teach languages at Cluster, but that's a very small amount of other things that we do.
Please tell us more. What else, what we do? Yes.
We primarily focus, so learning language is one thing.
Okay.
But being able to communicate in it, it goes way beyond just knowing the basic grammar, being able to converse. Things like presentation skills, public speaking, negotiation skills, all of those soft skills areas, this is where we focus. And we do that in English.
I checked your website. You have a wonderful faculty. You're also part of the faculty. You also help people to enhance the presentation skills and move forward. Is this something which you acquired over a period of years? Or back you were when you were in your teens, and sometimes it happens, there is something called an X factor, which I've realized, and we have a sales team here, and I do a lot of training for the sales team, and I tell them that I can only teach you things to a point, and after that, the delivery of those things depends on a very separate element that only you can present. Like it's the X factor which each person has, maybe it's the way of saying things differently. I'm sure you must also had one skill in your teenage years which pushed you to learn more, which pushed you to move forward and find out and make you more curious. And a lot of times, like in our finance areas, we have the veteran Warren Buffett who says that I have learned more from my school and college debates than the MBA. I'm sure you must also have learned that one skill in your teenage years which works for you till now. Do you feel there is something?
I'd say it's more of it's not a particular skill that I could pinpoint. It's more of an ability to learn a skill, like adaptability.
To find more curiosity. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To find curiosity, to find some headspace to pursue that. And I had quite a diverse background. Like I studied linguistics in Russia. When I went to the States, I did art history. Then in UAE, I co-founded a tennis academy.
Yes.
And now I have a business in education, and we are developing a technological product. So I think having these sort of diverse domains shows that I'm quite adaptable.
Yes, this was my next question. You co-founded a pro tennis academy in Dubai. Now, where is this coming from? We are talking to you, and I see that you're a sort of person who's into trainings, a linguistic, very curious, but you have built your career around this area. How sports came into this picture? Were you an athlete back growing up? Or when you came to Dubai, you saw one of the opportunity that, this is the place where a lot of people are more curious to do this. Even if you found that, what made you actually co-found a pro tennis academy? That was something very out of your usual things, right?
Yeah. So out of the scope. It was 2020 when we launched the business. And
this we are talking about the pro tennis academy.
Yes, I'm talking about Pro Tennis Academy. If you think about it, it's not so different from what I'm doing right now at Cluster. Both are kind of in education space. Both are heavily customer-facing businesses.
Yeah.
There are a lot of parallels that I see. And back in 2020, when we launched the business, everyone was tired of sitting at home, and everyone wanted to be active. They wanted to pick up sports, and tennis was the perfect sport because it allowed you to keep social distancing and at the same time stay active and have some sort of social activity. So there was great demand for that, and we saw an opportunity and just went after it.
And it's happening with paddle also right now, the same thing. A lot of people are playing paddle. But back in 2020, it was a very smart thing to do. What you said, that was a combination of social distancing and still being able to see each other and meet and do this activity together. And one thing which you pointed out, that there's a lot of parallel between this. And I love that what you said, because I think sports is the best form of strategy and execution. That's what it shows. So you have coached athletes and you have coached the CEOs. Where do you think, so is the athletes are the ones who are able to handle more pressure, or the CEOs are the ones who are able to handle more pressure?
Interesting question. I didn't personally coach athletes. We had trained professionals who did that, but I was in a position to observe their behavior quite close.
Yes.
I think there are a lot of parallels between CEOs and athletes. For one, both need to be mentally strong. Your technical brilliance can only take you this far. And then it's down to how resilient you are. Two, you have to screw a lot before you get to top 10 tennis players, before you become a CEO. There are a lot of mistakes that you have to make. What I think is different is, for example, in tennis, we see top players having a singles match, and it's just them against their opponent. But behind the scenes, there is the whole team. There is a mental coach, there is a physical coach, there is tennis coach. Like
dietitians, nutritionists. Exactly, I understand.
Exactly. And when they go to those Grand Slam matches, they bring their families with them. I think CEOs are quite different in that sense. they don't. It's not so traditional to build that kind of support system.
Yeah.
So I think this is where it's different. But also in tennis, why we see quite a lot of tennis players break down during matches is because the whole difference as to the outcome of this particular match could be down to just one set. And that set could be played out in just 15 minutes. So 15 minutes would actually give you an outcome of what you've probably worked for 6 months.
So very instant. That's right. I mean, you work for 6 months, and then the outcome of that, as you rightly said, it all reaches to that one second, that one set.
Exactly.
You put your entire pressure on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could be on a winning streak.
Yes.
You could be like in a very good shape, physically, mentally, but it could be just down to luck. Your opponent today, even though you've beaten them multiple times before, but today, this very moment, they're a little bit better than you are.
Yes.
And I think with business, it's never like that fast.
It takes time before the results come out. It's a constant work on yourself, and then till the time it's more. I feel that it takes time. There's a long gestation period before you get to know that what you have been working towards, it's actually going to become something or not.
Yes.
So these are. It must have been. So again, very two good parallels. So after you did this, you launched Cluster, and that was also in 2020 or slightly after that?
That was slightly after that. Cluster's been around for 1 year now.
1 year now.
Yeah.
But do you feel that the pre-pandemic and the post-pandemic, because this is a kind of institution which exists, I mean, the type of business this is, there have been more businesses like this.
Yeah.
But here in Dubai, I have heard about Cluster, and so many of my clients and so many people have heard about Cluster. This is such a space where if you don't do something unique, then you just become one of those institutions. Like, if I join a language center to learn Arabic, they would charge me a certain amount. They would do the classes, but really depends upon me that how much practice I do and I actually learn the language. So when we hear about an institution which is teaching you a different language, which is building your personality, in my mind it comes one of the institutions for which I have to pay, and then it's on me how much I work hard. But with Cluster, something really clicked. It came post-pandemic, and it really became a hit. What do you think was different in Cluster than in any other institution?
For one, I think we approached it a little differently. If you are to sign up for a course, a language course, or a course for public speaking, then what will happen, you will be assigned to a batch, you will go through the program, and that's it.
Okay.
Like, maybe the school will later reach out to you and offer you a different course.
Yes.
But that's about it.
Yes.
What we did, and this is what I wanted to do from day one, is even you sign up for a group course for public speaking, you have a teacher who is, of course, they are certified, they have a lot of experience in their field, they have a lot of public speaking experience, at least 7 years of teaching experience. All of them are native speakers of English. Some of them go and travel to different conferences.
Wow.
I have a teacher who is part of Oprah Winfrey's book club. I have teachers who teach at United Nations. I have teachers with like great
credentials.
Great credentials, exactly.
So very good faculty you are talking about. I mean, that itself makes such a big difference.
I hope. I hope so. And apart from those teachers who are conducting the classes, we also have something that's called a curator.
Okay.
And for the time being, that's me.
Okay.
What I do is with all of our students who sign up for our classes, we schedule one-on-ones with me, and these are 15, 20-minute calls where we get to set an objective for them why they're taking this course. And what I like to do there is to tie it to some real-life events.
Very nice.
We have an executive who recently joined one of our courses. He had a fintech summit where he was invited to present at.
Okay.
And he didn't quite feel like confident
to present
going after this opportunity.
Yeah.
And so we discussed that that's going to be like our North Star, that we're going to work towards it. And we will have maybe a few of smaller speaking engagements that could prep him for that. And in the meantime, we'll keep practicing. So when you have that, the level to which your intrinsic motivation rises is different if you didn't have that external factor.
It's a very one-on-one coaching. I feel that this is something you're actually working not just with them, but you're working on them and on their projects. As you're saying, it becomes a very intrinsic part of one's life that, okay, I have to present this outside. And then they meet you and you help them to achieve that goal. So I think that is more than what you rightly said in the beginning of the session. That's not just about language learning. It's more about building up your confidence and enhancing the skills which you have.
Exactly. And so after we identify what are those things that could help us spike your intrinsic motivation and what we could be on the lookout for, then midway through the course, we have a mid-level assessment where we see, okay, how the things are going for you, the things that you learn in class, are you able to apply it in your life, how your communication style has changed, if it has changed, and what are the things we can do outside of the classroom to support your learning.
Right.
And then once they are done with the course, we have a final assessment where we see how it worked for them, where we get a lot of feedback. And this is the kind of data points that we collect and also that help us improve as an organization.
That's really wonderful. It's a wonderful structure because not only you are motivating others out there to achieve, but at the same time constantly taking feedback to make and improve that what else can be done. It's a very complicated process. I mean, of course, you have a great faculty. You yourself are making it very simpler for a lot of people to do this. But is there like a mantra or like a principle? Like, for example, I've heard that the best form of communication is the effective, like whatever you said, and if the message was clear and I received it and I interpreted right, it's a good communication. Do you feel that there is one thing which people kind of not value in a communication, which they feel is very undervalued? Like, for example, in finance, we always say that this particular stock is very undervalued. You need to buy it right now. It has a lot of potential. So even in communication, there is something which is very undervalued, which people don't look at it. They just don't value it, but it's really important for them to look. It can be something very basic, like good listening or anything. Do you really feel that there is something in communication which is very undervalued right now, and if people look into it, it would really be more helpful?
I'd say that, in my view, preparation is undervalued. And that could be as simple as preparing meeting notes for your upcoming engagement, talking points for your presentation, your speech. I did that mistake as well. And back in the days when I was only starting out, going to different networking events, I didn't quite have an agenda attending those. Yes, I knew that networking is something that you kind of have to do, should do.
Yeah.
But it was quite sporadic, quite unstructured. So now I figured a formula for myself to meet at least one new person, ask them at least 3 non-trivial questions, and have some sort of follow-up past our meeting. So that has increased the way, that has made networking way more productive than in the past.
It sounds so simple. But now when you're saying that, I feel that preparation is undervalued, because so many times when we are doing seminars or presentations or even going out for meetings, as you said, networking events, if you don't know what the agenda is, and I think the world is in a phase where everybody's just running madly in a race. We just want to be there and just be a part of the trend. We don't even know what's happening. At that point of time, what you rightly said, that you need to know what's the agenda, why you are going and why you have to do it. And as you're saying that when you're doing it, it's working out for you, and you're telling others also the same thing. So is this something which you're telling everyone, or the faculty members are telling that how important the preparation needs to be? Does this becomes the foundation of all of these people who come to you?
Yeah, in a way, yes. I think one of the mistakes that you can make is judge somebody by the way they speak, the way they communicate, and think that it's just them being natural. When in reality, quite a lot of people spend weeks, if not months, preparing for a speaking engagement.
Yes.
And downplaying that does not do any justice.
That's true. I think it's a very good thing. I mean, very few people point this out. They have different mantras that you have to be confident, you have to find out new words, read new books, and make yourself more fluent and be confident. But the significance of, for meditating for 15 minutes and putting your notes together and just taking a long breath and say what you have to do. When you started Cluster and you had this thing in mind, I'm sure the preparedness which you're talking about right now, when you started Cluster, you had this vision in mind that I need to be prepared for. This is what I'm going to build together. Because you started Cluster with your own money. There was no founder, there was no partner. It's a bootstrap completely. And a lot of entrepreneurs, like in last few weeks I've interviewed, and I've seen that in Dubai especially, there are so many people who work hard, save money, and then put that money into a business, and those businesses work. But when you put all your money into it, or a part of your savings into this, why not a partner or trying to get more funding? Was it because you thought that you were better alone, or you had a vision in mind and you thought that you're the best person to go with it, and you didn't think of having a partner who can start the business with you?
So we're no longer bootstrapped.
No longer. Now you have the partner.
Yes,
Perfect.
We have our first 2 angel investors who joined us.
Very nice. Congratulations. Very good.
But in the beginning, I'd say it was more important to test out the idea.
Yeah.
And maybe for a month or so, it was just me. I wanted to see if there is demand for the idea. I just ran some ads. I remember the first payment coming into the account, and I did not have to speak to the person. And it was like 2,500 dirhams for a group course. And then of course, I figured out the logistics and everything. But initially, it was a very lean team. Once I was able to validate the demand, that's when now I have 2 co-founders who are working alongside me. They recently joined, and getting the angels money was more about kind of a green light.
They're more confident in your business now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody else believed it to the point that it's not just words, but they put their money as well.
So you're being very cautious before you seek out more investors. You were trying to create more demand, and that's very thoughtful. Of course, very gutsy, very risk-taking, but I think this is what Dubai is about. A lot of entrepreneurs, they really go really hard, and I think this has become a part of the country, because I've interviewed so many people, and first, what you exactly did, you're trying to create demand, you're putting your own money, and once this thing starts working and you start pitching this idea to others, and it becomes a sort of green flag that when other angel investors are willing to invest and they're investing in it. Talking of investments, talking of returns, which one thing or person or a tool you feel that you have invested in, which has given you the best return on your investments?
I'd say betting on myself.
Investing in yourself.
Exactly.
Wow.
With Cluster, that was my second business that I founded.
Yeah.
But with Pro Tennis, I'd say that the risks were a lot higher.
Okay.
At that time, I did not have any business experience.
Yeah.
No MBA, no formal training. And it somehow worked out. I learned things on the fly. With Cluster, it was more of a calculated risk in a way. Like I said, I tested out the idea before actually launching. But right now, all of my resources, be it mental, emotional, financial, go into Cluster.
Everything goes into, so you own your own business and in your own self, and you're trying to grow the business more.
Yes.
I think it's a wonderful thing, because a lot of listeners would like to know that how the entrepreneurs and the kind of profits they earn, where do they invest? They do it in real estate here in Dubai, or they do it in mutual funds, or they invest in the business, or like you said, you're investing in yourself. You have done Pro Tennis, you're doing Cluster. I'm sure over a decade, whenever I meet you again, there will be a new business idea which you will be putting your investments in. Women in business, a bit stereotypical, but I do want to talk about this part. You are in the business of giving confidence and teaching people how to present, and even more. You must be getting men and women both. Roughly, what's the higher proportion? More men over or women, or more women clients do you have? Like what's the proportion, like 50%, or if I were to find out a segregation of how many male clients have reached out to you, or how many female clients have?
I don't have the statistics
just a rough idea,
on the top of my head, but now as I'm thinking about this, I think it's kind of 50-50, 60-40,
okay.
But not that much of a difference.
Okay. And do you feel that we have seen this thing? There are a lot of CEOs, female CEOs out there, but I think being a CEO traditionally has always been called a sort of man's field. Even, of course, the advancements have been wonderful, but even in a lot of places at this point of time, it is still seen as a traditional male CEO role. So when you get female clients and when you're teaching them, is it still expected by the people out there that a female leader could intimidate others? So they are expected to be soft in their tone, or have you felt that?
I don't think so. I'm the best person to answer this,
but
just because...
The closest at this point of time, I'm asking you this.
Yes. I think I was in quite a unique position. I was able to choose who I work with and who I collaborate with. And I think that a lot of people don't have that choice to make. I've never been I've never had a corporate career, especially in a male-dominated field like tech or finance. In business, you have this luxury to actually choose your partners. Exactly. This is not to downplay the experience of other women who've gone through that. What I think really matters is the character. And character, it doesn't matter if it's a female or male CEO. At least at this point in time, for me, it doesn't really matter. And I think in UAE, we have quite a lot of great examples.
Perfect,
We have a lot of female leaders who are leaders of the country. Look at Noor Al-Kibi. She's, I think, one of the most inspiring women out there.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact statistics, but I think that UAE is leading in terms of number of female representatives in the cabinet.
Yeah.
So in UAE, we have quite a lot of those great examples.
I think that's very good to hear, because I feel that sometimes it happens. There are people coming from, if we remove the genders, I think in both the genders, there are people who are very shy, they're very modest. And sometimes they have the right talent, they have the right qualification, But to command the boardroom and to be in the boardroom and to come across as a strong leader, do you feel, how do you try to help those people? How do you enhance their skills? Because I personally know a lot of people, and a lot of them I work with, great intellectuals, very achieved, very hardworking. Somehow they come from a very shy, very modest background, where if they're commanding a room, they may not be able to express them the way they should as leaders. And I think that's very challenging to be in a room with those people who are trying to present themselves. They have achieved a lot. Do you also find out these kind of people who are very shy, very modest, but the moment they have to step into a boardroom, they need to be someone else, right? They need to be more commanding, more talking. And that switch is not easy. If that's not easy for them to switch, how easy it can be for you to be able to switch their personalities by training them and teaching them? How that training process is, must be something really different.
That's quite a loaded question, I must say.
No, just take your time. It's something very interesting I wanted to know.
Yeah, I believe that there are a few stereotypes at play. One is expecting someone to be modest because of the kind of background they come from, or as you said, it could be like gender related or whatever. And another one is this notion of a leader being that loud,
intimidating and
personality.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be that. I think another stereotype that I quite often hear in our line of work is that people think if they go out there and train and take a course on public speaking or executive presence, leadership skills, communication, whatever falls under that umbrella, they think that they're going to be inauthentic.
Okay.
They perceive it in such a way that my personality is different. I don't think so. I can be that.
Yeah, I see that a lot of times.
Yes, and here I think what's important to understand is that these are just different hats that you're going to be wearing. You don't have to like make out a new personality to be able to lead. What we are doing and where we are helping people is to lead in such a way or communicate in such a way that feels natural to you. And you're not going to know that until you practice, until you do those role plays, until you do those pitches and find out what's your style of communication like. And maybe it's going to be loud and you will have this big sort of personality. And when you go into the boardroom, that's the kind of presence you're going to have. Maybe it's kind of calm leader and very composed, very well put together. We don't know that. And when we work with somebody, that's what we are trying to figure out.
It's so difficult to strike that exact balance between the person you are and the person you are expected to be, and then make it look more natural. Now, what sort of activities and practices you're doing, I'm sure it's a very elaborate curriculum. Have you really seen a jaw-dropping transformation in people like that? That you met someone who came to you with this thing, and what you rightly said, that sometimes people just don't want to be that person. It is required for them to be, but they don't want to be because they feel that either their cultural foundation or the way they have been raised, it just doesn't make them feel morally right to be that person in the boardroom. And then, of course, they have to play an important role, and then you coming in between and trying to find that balance. And have you seen such kind of jaw-dropping transformation where a person was very shy, very modest, and then became something very different and very transformational?
Yeah, of course. And that's a big part of why I do what I do now. I'll get to the particular example, but like I said, tennis and communication, they were similar in a way. Both are in education space.
Yes.
But what we did with pro tennis, we were primarily focusing on players who play tennis recreationally. So for adults, it was something, go on a Sunday night to blow off the steam. For kids, it was just one of the activities that they would do on a weekly basis. Monday swimming, Tuesday football, Wednesday tennis. On the cluster side of things, I see how we impact students' lives in a way where they go up for promotion, or they are getting, like, they do things they didn't expect themselves to do.
This is how you measure that whether the programs have worked in the positive way or not?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the examples, one of my favorite case studies with a client was this brilliant lady. She's Emirati.
Yeah.
She was invited to speak at a health and biotech conference in Qatar as one of the delegates from DHA.
Wow.
And she did not feel quite up to the opportunity. And she took a group course with us, with one of our teachers, Ryan, and then we had this series of interviews with her, and I was working with her, like coaching her up to the day of the event. And what was striking is when she just joined, she knew that this event was coming up in like 2 months, and she set herself some time to prepare for that. And initially she was saying things like, you know, like doubting yourself, and not just her public speaking abilities, her public speaking skills, but as a professional. Like she was saying things like, I don't know, what if when I go out to the stage and I start presenting, and they will start regretting that they invited me in the first place.
A lot of self-doubt before you speak. Yeah.
Exactly. And so we worked with her throughout this 2 months. And on the day of the event, she sends me her video presenting, and she's like being quite loud, confident, delivering. I think it was like 250 plus people in the audience.
Wow.
And then she sent me a voice note, and she was saying things like, I'm so happy I did that, and everyone is so nice and welcoming, and like, I'm happy that
You must have been so proud. It's such a proud moment when you bring people out of that zone and put them out there, and must be very, like, I think it's self-rewarding, right? To empower people like that, and when they go out and achieve this, and then they come back to you and tell you that how great this has happened.
Yes. I have plenty of stories like that.
I'm sure, yes.
And there is one more student that we had. To me, like I said, it's more about the kind of impact that we have. And this student in particular had a major career move.
Yes.
He was a director at the Big Four firms, at one of the Big Four firms, and already brilliant, a lot of technical expertise. But he had this partner interview coming up, and he wasn't quite confident that he could go out there and command the room. So we started working with him, and I think it took like 1.5 months to prep him for this interview, and then he finally got it.
Wow.
And when you have something like that, a major career shift, to me, that's the most rewarding.
That's very good. So the kind of people you're getting at this point of time, I think anybody who wants to step up for a different position, and it commands a different skill and in different forms of presentation. And I think, do you really at this point of time feel that the new generation, there's a very different question of what we have discussed, but now as we are talking, it's something very interesting is coming to my mind. The new generation which is coming in, Gen Zs as we know it, how do you rate their communication? Because I feel that there is a big communication gap between my generation and if I speak to a Gen Z. Do you feel that these are a bunch of people who are effective communicators? And do you feel that they have somehow got this confidence, which a lot of us millennials never had? Because a lot of people came from very reserved backgrounds, 9-to-5 working jobs. So the main purpose of working in an organization is just to make money. And sometimes it is this inherent guilt that whatever we have, we don't deserve it because we haven't worked enough hard for it. I just feel Gen Zs don't have that right now because a lot of things have been taken care of. Do you feel that while cluster is doing what it is doing right now, you will get more of these kind of issues where people do not have the confidence to go out there? Do you feel the generation coming in also will have these kind of issues, or do you feel that you have to change with a different model for cluster?
Interesting question. For sure, something that I didn't spend quite much time thinking about. I do find Gen Zs fascinating in a way. I think they're quite creative with their language. We did have the experience working with some of the students who just graduated from schools or students who just graduated from universities. And from my experience, I think they're brilliant. I think we maybe underestimate them in some sense. Going back to your question of whether it's going to be of any use, what we are doing at Cluster now to the new generation, I think yes.
Yes.
I think with the development of AI, where more and more of our hard skills tasks are being taken care of, the real risk is not being replaced by a machine. The real risk is being overlooked by others because you can't lead, communicate, or connect effectively. And in essence, I think that's going to be one of the areas where people would need significant improvement.
That's true. Laila, you talked about AI. I want to know what you're doing right now. It has to be something very different which AI cannot solve, because at this point of time, sometimes my clients tell me that, I may not require a consultant because I can just search in ChatGPT, put the financials of a company, and ask them that, okay, should I buy this stock or not? And ChatGPT gives me a prompt answer, quick analysis, rather than calling any consultant and doing it. And of course, we follow the same thing, that AI is here to complement us, but it cannot cannot bring that human factor which a personal consultant can get. But that being said, not everybody understands this. So there are several apps built for different languages. Today, if I type a prompt to ChatGPT or any other app telling me that I want to present this thing in next 1 month, and I want you to be a mentor and guide me exactly what I need to do, I'm sure ChatGPT would have a detailed curriculum out there. Do you feel it's a big challenge for your faculty, for your teachers, to kind of bring that X factor in which AI cannot bring? Or do you feel that AI at this point of time, as you rightly said, it's doing a lot of work for you, but then there is still something which AI cannot do, your faculty can do well?
Yes, I think at this point of time, AI is still quite limited. It has a lot of data, it has a lot of information, and it's never been a problem of accessing that information. You can go out to YouTube and type public speaking tips, public speaking 101, and it will give you like a myriad of videos that you could access to. That information, that type of knowledge is out there. It's available for free, those type of resources.
Exactly, yes.
What I think is different is that AI does not have yet this capacity to look at the complexity of human emotions. Like, it cannot understand. Yes, it can analyze few of the things, like how engaged you were based on the kind of, it will analyze the eye movement, it will track it if it's plugged into a meeting that you have online. It can analyze based on the type of, like on the text, based on the script of the meeting, it will analyze how receiving you were of what I was telling you. But I think it's still not there yet to fully replace the human element.
Correct. But do you think that at some point of time it will come up with, because we never expected that something is going to replace graphics, or these days a lot of graphic designers are there, and the job is easily done by using a lot of AI apps. They are able to compile videos, They're able to give a lot of stock footage. Given right prompts to ChatGPT, they can bring a professional photographic impact on a normal picture. So I'm sure at some point of time, when something like this happened, Cluster would come up with something. They have to come up with something really different, right? Do you have that? I mean, I know that nobody thinks this early about it, but I'm sure that you're already thinking about that what happens next when AI becomes more and more prominent. So the role of people in it, it has to be enhanced further.
Yes, absolutely. We do think about future. It's could be a very challenging task, but we do think about it. And maybe in future, it will happen that you and me won't be sitting. It will be just our GPT avatars having this conversation. But I mean, it's now it sounds like kind of sci-fi scenario.
Yes, yes.
The product that we are currently developing, it's a peer-to-peer matching platform that's AI enhanced.
Oh, wow.
What we do is at the core of the product is the peer-to-peer matching, where let's say I have a podcast with Century Financial tomorrow and I want to connect with someone who's been a guest on a podcast and I want to ask them some tips and tricks or present some of my answers or, practice with somebody who's been through that same scenario. That's what you will be essentially be able to do through the platform really to connect with someone. Yeah. Let's say the example that I've given earlier of a director at the Big Four prepping for an interview. Yeah. Someone like this person could connect with a partner who's already been through that scenario, and they could connect for a quick call, 20, 30 minutes, and practice different scenarios that are prompted, provide feedback to each other. And also AI will sit on it too and give you stats, how you did in terms of filler words, filler sounds, how was the other party engaged, was there any difficulty in terms of pronunciation, was everything clearly enunciated, how was your volume, all of those things that AI can track. And then it will provide you with some of the materials that are personalized to you. So it's not just some generic stuff. Wow. It's going to be more connected to and based off the metrics from your exact call.
I think it's very forward-looking that you're integrating AI with your platforms to, build up a solid foundation for what's coming next. So, Laila, you co-founded a pro tennis academy, and you did it at the time in the pandemic when everybody was very scared of getting out. But what you rightly said, that it was a perfect mix of social distancing and a physical activity, both of which were required. Same thing now is with paddle. I think paddle is I'm not going to say it's a new craze, but still a lot of people love to play paddle. Sometimes I'm trying to book courts on the same day. I never get it. I have to always wait at least for a day before I get the right court. A lot of listeners would love to know that in here, especially in UAE, now is this entire business of tennis and paddle, is it saturated? Are there too many players? Or is it still some space if I want to set up a paddle court or a bunch of paddle courts together and start a paddle sort of an academy? How much money do you think I need and how much money I will make? And do you think it's wise to do it now since a lot of people are already into it?
I'm going to be quite biased here.
Okay.
I'm a hard fan of tennis.
Right.
And business-wise, what I've seen, because we did also both. We did tennis and paddle. And we ended up selling our paddle clubs with very little to no profits made. When the paddle craze just started out, I think it sounded like a very, the opportunity to go after. Yeah. And you see quite a lot of clubs popping up. I think in a span of 2, maybe 3 years, 300 clubs just opened up. Yeah. But also quite a lot of those clubs were shut down.
How much money does it need to open a paddle club? A rough amount?
Well, it depends on quite a few factors. First, you need to identify where your paddle club is going to be. And I don't mean location-wise, because that's a whole other layer. that's going to add to the cost. But also think of it in terms, is it going to be indoors or is it going to be outdoors? If it's going to be indoors, then of course there are other things that you need to factor in.
Yeah.
Like AC cost.
Correct.
Other amenities that you need to
and
think
here in
of.
Dubai, indoors is much more essential because at least for the first 7 to 8 months, people would not want to play outdoors due to the weather. Everybody would want to, so we have to factor that cost in.
I will disagree here.
Really?
With paddle, it's different.
Okay.
Because you have a great supply of paddle courts.
Okay.
Indoor paddle courts.
Yes.
With tennis, for example, there isn't. That's not what's happening. In paddle, when you have a big number of indoor courts, you also have to think about like the AC cost, like how much it's going to cost you to keep it running throughout the whole year. Because if people in UAE, like we pretty much stay in the AC throughout all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, all the time. And people actually like to go out there and spend time outside, play, socialize. So think of it from the perspective how much in a year you're going to be, your capacity is going to be like at full, your capacity is going to be full. And what we've seen for most of the part, it's only like late April until mid-September that people prefer to play indoors. And then they go out and play outdoors. So those clubs that have kind of both of those options win.
Big advantage, yes.
Yeah, it's a big advantage for them. With outdoors, you definitely, your overhead costs are a lot less. You have, you probably have some, of course, some staff, some other costs, but you are running essentially 8 months in a year, whereas compared to indoors, like most of the time,
4 months,
you are pretty much empty. So with tennis, it's interesting because there aren't that many indoor tennis facilities.
Yeah.
With paddle, there are plenty.
Yes.
I would say even like oversupply. With tennis, that's not the case because to build a tennis court, and especially indoor tennis court, you're gonna have to have space that is twice as much as a paddle court. So if you fit in one tennis court, that's going to be occupied maximum by 4 players at a time, because that's the standard. At the same time, in the same space, you're going to have 2 paddle courts where you're going to have 8 players. So for a lot of people, that's the kind of math that they follow. So there aren't that many tennis indoor facilities, but a lot of outdoor facilities. And to maintain a tennis court, it's a lot cheaper
than paddle.
And also to build it, it's also a lot cheaper than building a paddle court, because in paddle court you have this whole construction that's going to cost you approximately, depending on the quality, 100 to 150,000 just for the construction.
Dollars.
Then you also need to factor in pricing of like the surface. If it's outdoors, then probably you have to think of like cementing the place, or like what's that going to look like, what kind of surface you're working with. Tennis, roughly 50, 70,000.
Oh, that's it.
To put the surface, to put the net, that's it.
You're
and
talking
that's
US dollars?
I'm talking about dirhams.
You're talking about dirhams?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm talking dirham. I'm speaking dirhams.
Okay.
With tennis, also, a lot of places already have tennis courts. Like what we did, we worked with quite a lot of schools, and or hotels, premium hotels who do not have 100% utilization of their courts. Same with schools. Kids use that during the school hours, but then from 3 p.m. onwards until 10 p.m., they don't use those spaces. And we get them at quite good rates.
Wow.
Sometimes we didn't even invest into building tennis courts because we already had them readily available. Whereas in paddle, because it recently started, there aren't that many paddle courts. Like you had to build it from the beginning.
Wow.
And invest your own money.
What you're suggesting is tennis is a still go-to business, and it's much more cheaper to set it up as compared to a paddle court. And even in terms of, I feel there is a dedicated client base to the tennis.
Yeah.
I think it's not something which everybody wants to play, but the people who want to play tennis will never switch to paddle. They would still stick with tennis.
I'd say that even if you look at it, tennis has been an Olympic sport for how many years? Tennis is a heritage sport,
Yes.
essentially.
Yeah.
While paddle, it's only like trying to make it to that level, but it's not there yet.
Yeah. What worse is the pickleball, which I personally don't like, but it's really good to hear. So a lot of you have got the new business idea. I think paddle is something which a lot of us want to play, but if you want to play paddle, but if you want to do business, do it with tennis. I think that's the right approach.
Well, it depends on how you want to do it, but my take on it that tennis would be a better business opportunity.
Perfect. Laila, just one last question.
Sure.
There have been, so here at Century, we try to educate investors about financial awareness, budgeting, investing at early stages, compounding growth. What advice would you give to the entrepreneurs now? In fact, the entrepreneurs who want to start business, but they have self-doubts, risk of failure, or not confident enough to do it. If there was one advice, would you give it to them regarding money or regarding confidence or anything? What would that be, one sentence of encouragement?
I'd say just start.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
I think we always live in chaotic times. A couple of months ago, with some tension in the region, I was thinking to myself, oh God, I miss 2020.
Yeah.
I think the best time to start a business was like 20, 30 years ago. But the second best time to start a business is now.
Wow, it's very well said.
And you'll never know, like you're gonna figure out things as you go. But before you start, test out your idea. See if someone, and I think the best way to test it out is to see if someone would be willing to put their money down. Because if you just ask somebody, what do you think of this business idea that I have?
Yeah.
And of course they're gonna hype you up, or they might tell you, oh, it's a horrible idea.
Yeah.
But in any case, this is not the kind of data point that you want to collect. What you want to know is, will people pay for that?
Yeah.
And that's where you need to go and test it out.
Well, that's really wise words. Laila, this was a session not just on communication skills, but on a great mindset. And we are so happy to have you come here and share your experiences and talk about the future and what's coming next, and doing such a wonderful job of providing confidence to people who can eventually then go out and achieve their dreams. So thank you so much for joining. And I hope that next time when I meet you, you have another business plan going on around, and we can talk probably about that and see that how it is working out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners, remember, clarity and presence aren't just skills, they're investments. Until next time, stay curious, stay sharp.